And I'm sorry, Professor Anamzoya, bring it in. This is just, and if what Kofi is saying is anything to go by, it says it's a scheme in place by people running it to benefit from the weaknesses in the system. And those who have to check it are either benefiting or sitting aloof, essentially, and being paid for doing nothing.
Well, this is unfortunate. I will start by saying that the figures that we see here represent people's behavior. Yes, people's behavior in institutions. So sometimes when we are put into positions, we forget that we are put there as servants, whether public servants or civil servants. We are all serving the country or serving the public. But where the individual who is serving the public, civil or public servant, tends to not serve himself or herself, that's the consequences. Sometimes I begin to wonder, what do we value as Ghanaians? I actually uphold Mr. Bentel's idea of the need for strong leadership. Why is this continuing every year? It's even increasing. The figures are even increasing.
Absolutely.
And if this is the plan of others to become wealthy, what happens to the state that they are managing? Why is it that people intentionally, if you like, create situations where they benefit from, and then the state suffers? I think that we need to also understand that when we serve the state, we are serving ourselves. When we work for the state, we're working for ourselves. So if we engage in these actions or inactions, and then the state suffers from resources, and not being able to provide what we need as Ghanaians, we can suffer this at the end of the day. Let's say you get sick, and then you feel that, okay, you have made so much money, you can be flown out of the country for medical attention. But as you got sick, you are required to get stabilized before you are flown out of the country. So you have made so much money out of this behavior, and you think you can fly out of Ghana for medical attention. Now, at the point of sickness, the only clinic near to your community is not well equipped. But that's where they should take you to stabilize you before they fly you out. Then you find that, well, I should have behaved in a way to ensure that resources are left for the state to provide for me as a Ghanaian. So when we behave negatively as public servants or civil servants, the negative consequences can be also affect the perceived beneficiaries. There are many people who died in Ghana because they were first sent to the nearest medical hospital to get stabilized before they are flown out. But if that nearest medical facility is not well equipped, then you find that that's your doomsday. So this is about behavior, it's about attitude. But again, if people don't want to behave as expected, what do? We sanction them.
That's why
and the sanctions must be very vigorous, must be very public, must be very immediate. We need leadership who can crack the whip immediately. And I think we've been talking about development. If you have resources and you have poor attitude towards the state, we see the state to be a stranger, unfortunately. The state is a stranger, it's not my father's property, it's not my father's job. So we behave towards the state in a way that benefits us. So when we get the opportunity, we want to steal from the state, abuse the state, see the state to be a strange entity, and see us to be outside the state, whereas in actual sense, we are part of the state.
Indeed.
So if we don't get this notion right, that we in the state are one, and think the state is different from us, we'll keep behaving in a way that we are doing now. And that's what leads to all these increasing figures of monies going down the drain, and yet we're unable to recover them. And we don't also see how they are being sanctioned as much as they should have been. So I think we need to have strong leadership to crack the whip as and when there's the need.